Yesterday we celebrated the solemnity of Saint Joseph, spouse of the Virgin Mary and patron of the Universal Church. And it's very fitting because Saint Joseph really helps to guide us into the spirit of Lent. Just last year, Pope Francis had declared a year of Saint Joseph for the whole Church. So hopefully this holy man has already been on our minds and in our hearts. And I just wanted to share with you today a few ways in which Joseph embodies for us the spirit of Lent. The first reason is that Saint Joseph was a man of profound silence. So throughout the scriptures, we do not see a single recorded word attributed to Joseph. We just hear accounts of him listening to God. And for all of us, that's such a great example because during Lent, we're called to grow deeper into the spirit of prayer. And the only way we're going to be able to do this is by quieting down our minds and our hearts, consciously striving to remove distraction from our lives, and then in that silence, to hear God's voice. Joseph was a man who was attentive to God, and so he was ready when God moved powerfully into his life. And that same promise is there for each one of us. If we are willing to enter into silence, however uncomfortable it might be at first, God will speak. God will enter, and he will meet us there. So the silence of Joseph. Number two, Saint Joseph was a man of great courage, incredible fortitude, because once he entered that silence, then God asked incredible things of him. He asked Joseph, take Mary as your wife, and then go down to Bethlehem. There the child will be born. And then go to Egypt, flee in the middle of the night, because Herod is seeking for the child Jesus. The angel said to him then, wait there, just wait until Herod dies, and then afterwards, finally returning to Nazareth. We know how that story turned out, but Joseph, as he was living those moments, must have had to contend with the uncertainty and with the fear. And it's precisely in moments of fear that the virtue of fortitude, the virtue of courage, is what enables us to move through the fear and to trust in God's promise for us. So Joseph was a man of great courage. Number three, Joseph was a man of obedience. There's this pattern in all of the times when the angel of the Lord spoke to Joseph. Joseph listened, Joseph had the courage to respond, and then it says each time, he did what the Lord asked of him. Even though it was not always what Joseph had expected, Joseph was a man who heard and moved into action. So hopefully this Lent, as we are listening to God, perhaps the Holy Spirit is inspiring us, is leading us down paths that we had not initially foreseen. If we have courage, then we are able to respond and to obey. And Joseph is the great intercessor for that. So if we're struggling with anything right now, we're coming in towards the middle point of Lent, let's ask Joseph to imitate his obedience. Joseph was a man of perseverance. He didn't turn back. He persevered in many of the daily tasks that were assigned to him. So we know about the heroic moments in Joseph's life, but we know also that he was a handyman. He was a tradesman, a carpenter. And that takes great perseverance on the daily level, working through experiences of tiredness or frustration, or having to start over and begin the job again. Attention to detail, all these little things. Joseph showed perseverance. He worked hard, and he worked hard to provide for Mary and for the child Jesus. And for all of us in our daily tasks, we may struggle with the boredom that accompanies them. And so we need that virtue of perseverance and to remember who we're doing these things for. And so Joseph shows us the great value of perseverance. Lastly, and most fundamentally, Joseph was a man of love. All of these things Joseph did because of his great love for God, his desire to serve God and to find God in all the circumstances of his life. To him was entrusted the care of the Blessed Virgin Mary, whom he loved with a chaste heart, and the child Jesus, whom he protected and guided during his formative years. And so for all of us, as we have our Lenten resolutions before us, we might just ask ourselves, who are we doing this for? And of course, the answer should be for God, because we want to love him better. We want to give him those parts of our heart that we've held back in some ways in the past. We want to allow God to purify us for a greater love. Many of our Lenten resolutions might implicate our love for our spouse, for our children. We're doing it to be a better mother, a better father, a better spouse, a better grandparent. So whenever these Lenten resolutions get tough, as they usually do around this halfway mark, if they're good resolutions, remember who you're doing it for, like Joseph. All of the things in his life he did for the love of God. So may God bless you and continue to grant you a fruitful Lent as we journey to the joy of the resurrection.